And the best and the greatest day to be alive is today. And welcome to the WISE Hour. I'm your host, Jay Mullane, also known as WISE. Well, we be dropping 24 karat gold bars indeed. Family, I got this amazing coach here. You know, strange to him. And I tell you, we're going to talk about something that's very serious right now because we in our society are dealing with our parents, and our parents are aging, and those who are caregivers are going through situations. So I don't have this coach right here going to drop 24 karat gold bars that's going to bless your life and be ever changing. So you definitely want to tune in. Definitely do not want to miss this. But before we go in, I need you guys to subscribe, hit the like button, and definitely share. We are family here, family. So I'm looking forward to this. I'm not gonna hold anybody, so let's go.
At the WISE Hour, we break through the night, bringing knowledge fire, so hold on tight. Every episode, a story to unfold. We're turning every minute into gold.
All right, now this is the place where we be dropping 24 karat gold bars indeed. Family, you know stranger to this coach right here. We got the amazing Mike Patterson, Coach Mike Patterson. I mean, that's the man. He be dropping 24 karat gold bars, family. Hey. And he's is a author. He is, I can go, the list go on and on. You know, business owner, nonprofit owner, Tai Chi practitioner, dementia specialist, man of God, father, role model, standard setter. List goes on and on and on. This amazing brother. Thank you for jumping in and actually talk about some solution today, because we had a general discussion and you brought up something I thought was very important for us, those who are caretakers, caregivers. I don't know if caretakers is a word. I think caretakers is a word, but caregivers definitely. And so with that being said, how you doing today, brother?
I'm doing well, Brother Wise. Thank you for having me on. Thank you for inviting me to talk about a topic that is near and dear to my heart. It's also a topic that has come up to me quite often, which it normally does around this time of year, with the holidays just passing by. So I'm looking forward to this conversation. I think it's going to be beneficial for a lot of people.
Yes, I believe so too. And family, you didn't know, the topic of the day is Asian parents after the holidays, signs you cannot ignore at all. You really can't ignore these signs. And someone who also is a caregiver as well. Also, the questions actually come from me and several other people. And got to have Coach Mike here because he's an expert in this, and he was going to provide some solutions for you today that's going to be life changing. So with that being said, all right, Coach Mike. All right, as you mentioned, you have seen more service requests after the holidays about this subject. So what are the key change people notice in parents during the holiday visits?
Absolutely. And so just to give you a little bit of background, Brother Wise, I appreciate your introduction. And there are a number of things that I do in my profession as a life coach. Life coach is a very broad topic. And part of that life coaching that is near and dear to my heart is being a family caregiver specialist, where I work with our aging adults to live at home as long as possible, as well as providing resources for the aging adult as well as caregivers, which is part of the topic today. As a family caregiver specialist, traditionally after the holidays, I will come across a lot of requests for information and assistance regarding loved ones that were seen during the holidays, whether it was going home for Christmas or New Year's and seeing mom and dad weren't as spry as they thought, or maybe seeing an aging aunt or uncle who's not in the best condition and didn't realize it because maybe you don't live in that area anymore, or maybe it had just been a long time since you've seen that individual. So traditionally around this time of year, I have a lot of people who will call me in regards to that, kind of just like, hey, Mike, I just, came back from seeing my mom and she's not in the best of shape. You know, they notice a lot of different things that are going on that are not normal to how they traditionally function on the activity of their daily living. And so that's when a lot of the questions come, and where I step in to help facilitate resources and information for those individuals. So again, this can be a lot to take in, but that's the gist of what I traditionally hear around this time regarding caring for aging parents.
Okay, and I love that because, like I said, in this society, we do have a lot of what we call it, Asian adults, and the baby, we call it the baby booms. Is, the biggest, like the biggest set of people, and now that at the age now that they took care of us, now we got to
Yes.
take care,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
yeah. So with that being said, what's some common signs of decline independence that family members notice?
It can vary, depending on the aging adult. Whether you're starting to notice that mobility is becoming an issue. Maybe you notice that the home isn't quite as safe. Maybe they're starting to hoard things a little bit more, which is making things a little bit more of an obstacle to get around. Um, you may notice, some cognitive delays. Not all cognitive delays are related to dementia, but that could be one of the early signs that are taking place with an aging adult. So really, it could be a very broad amount of things depending on that individual. But some things to kind of look to identify is absolutely how that aging adult is just interacting based off of what you remembered from that individual before. Was this someone who was really engaging and funny and outgoing, and now this individual is very to themselves, not really engaging with other family members or like they used to? Sometimes things like that could be a sign of something a little bit more going on. Again, like I mentioned previously before, if you notice, mobility issues, maybe mom and dad's not walking quite as sternly as they did previously, so looking for signs along those lines. Of course, during conversations, if there is a cognitive impairment of some sort, traditionally through advanced conversation, sometimes some of those signs will show. But there is also individuals who may have a dementia that still can do what we call small talk, right? Small talk is something that's not always lost in those with a cognitive impairment like a dementia, because small talk, that kind of rhythmic talk, is maintained on the right side of the brain, which is not always impacted during the dementia diagnosis or disease itself. So again, it's just a few things that you could kind of look at, but I say as a rule of thumb, knowing what I know now as a professional, when I'm around some of my older adults, I am always kind of, looking to see how individuals are interacting, how they're moving, and different things along those lines. Just to be mindful of what may be taking place, or, if I feel like assistance may be needed.
Okay, okay. Well, you remind me of, because, like I said, I'm a caregiver as well, and my mother, her mind is sharp, and I honestly say her memory is 10 times better than mine. Then full wisdom, full grace. But the challenge she had was the physical standpoint, because like I said, when she was much younger, she would run circles around me, and like I said, by being the mind being sharp, and then the body is not doing like it used to be, it brings a frustration, and that frustration can lead, and sometimes she feel down because she remember all the things she used can do, and now she can't do it at the same pace, the same speed, and that, I think, it brings stress and also worry to the body as well. And then I feel the tension sometimes, so I try to lighten up. Of course, I'm there because I'm there to assist, right? But I have to learn, because when she got to the point where she's okay, or I call okay, she's steady. So when I mean by steady, that she's able to handle some tasks, and some tasks, she do need assistance with. So the tasks she need assistance with, she will engage me. But I know she's a very independent person. So the things that she can handle, I let her handle. I don't try to no, mom, don't do this, don't that. I try to keep her with her the things that she can able to do, it so that keep her encouraged. She keep on doing. One thing she does, and she done this all my life, she loves to cook. And she cook for the family. So even though I said, Mom, you don't have to do it, so that's something that she look forward to. Even though she may not feel well, that's something that it keep her going, and she look forward to it each and every day. So with that being said, my experience is you have to be willing to give and be willing to take. Notices the differences, but with the differences, help out where you can, and then the places that they can handle, then let them handle them. So that's why I'm gonna drop some at least a nugget, if not go bar into the situation.
No, that was definitely a 24 karat gold bar for sure. And I can definitely tell that you definitely have absorbed some information through our interactions, because that's
Indeed.
definitely one of the things that you want to do. Just because someone ages or gets old, number one, does not mean that they're going to have a dementia. Okay, aging and dementia are not synonymous. They don't go hand in hand. So aging and dementia are two totally different things. It doesn't happen just because you get older. Okay. But as we get older, of course, we just start to slow down. That's part of nature. We tend to slow down a little bit. Yes, we're not gonna be as fast or process things
Come on,
as
man.
fast.
And I still can run. I still can run, man. I think I could beat
Yeah,
Hussein Bolt in my mind. In my mind, I could beat him.
absolutely. Yes. Yes. In college, I could run a 46 quarter mile. And in my mind right now, I feel like I could go out there and maybe not run that, but run something close. But you and I know, if I was to go out there and do something like that, we might be picking up my hamstrings off the track. Okay, so
We're like,
in
come on.
my
We're like,
mind,
blow the whistle. Blow the whistle. Come
my
on.
body, because of aging, just won't allow me to do that at this point in time. So again, with aging just comes the slowing down of the body, processing. It's just part of aging. But one of the things that I really enjoy that you said that you do is that you allow your mother to still do the things that she can do. And that's so very important, right? Because one of the things I hear, especially as children taking care of parents, it's difficult trying to navigate not feeling like now you're the parent of your parent. You still want to be respectful to your mother, your father, things of that nature. And so allowing them to do the things they can still do is very important, because number one, like you said, it gives them purpose, right? Your mother has always loved to cook and do things, and having purpose is so important, not just for older adults, but anyone in general. When we have a purpose, when we have a passion for something, it continues to keep us going. So when you have that opportunity to continue to do things that you enjoy to do or that you can do, again, it allows you to still feel like you're able, right? Because as you're starting to age, you know that you can't do things like that you used to, right? But you still want the opportunity to do what you can do, And like you said, allowing them to communicate with you, when she needs the assistance, but also being mindful, right? Like you said, that there's some things that she can't do, but you still allow her to ask you, right? Instead of kind of just jumping right in, right?
Correct.
But you're also there kind of monitoring, so to speak, right? Just making sure that, if I need to step in, I'm going to step in even without maybe the ask, or maybe stepping in to ask, hey, Mom, can I help you out with that? Or whatever the case may be, just offering assistance instead of kind of just jumping in and trying to do everything. Right?
Yes, I'm with you on that. Oh man, you're right. I hate to cut your wisdom, because I agree with you, and I see the difference, because when I was being aggressive and stepping in, it caused friction. It caused friction there. And once because like you said, that's my mom, right? So and she have an independent mindset. So but when you show that respect, I'm just talking from the standpoint that everybody's household is different, but mine's, when I show that respect, then that respect is separated, right? It's come back. So so I ask those that be patient, and sometimes I had to be quiet, and I call be quiet or silence and listen. Let her get out what she need to get out. Then once I go out, then I move on. But that person, she's able to get out what she needs to get out. And I'm a strong believer, if you get stuff out of you and you're able to get things out, then you'll feel better. But when you keep in your mind, it's stress your body.
Yes. So, yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. Amen on that one, brother. And then since you brought this up, I'm gonna hit you with this one here. So how can adult children differentiate between now normal aging and concerning changes? Yeah, that's a big difference.
Absolutely. And so, of course, things like physical, mobility, you can see that. You can see weight loss. You can.
I didn't think about that.
There's certain things that you can see with your eyes, right? But there's also things that you cannot see, which is the cognitive piece, right? And so, as a younger individual looking at an older aging parent or adult, it's one thing to forget someone's name or misplace something, right? Most times you're able to retract your steps to find something that you missed. Usually if you forget a name, maybe it'll come back to you in a few minutes, or you'll kind of retrieve it and it'll come, oh yes, that was Brian, or whatever the case may be. What you're looking for is when activities of daily living are interrupted.
Okay.
Activities of daily living is eating, dressing, bathing, mobility, the cognitive piece I talked about, right? And so when you start seeing things that are impacting that, right? When we talk about forgetfulness, right? Maybe forgetting a name or not remembering where you put your car keys, right? But that's one thing. If you can, again, be able to retract to find your car keys. Oh, I left them here in the refrigerator, right? I just came back from the grocery store. I forgot them in the refrigerator. I didn't even realize it, right? So that's one thing to realize that happened, right? But it's a situation where if the individual has forgetfulness to the point where maybe they don't remember who the individual is, right?
Okay.
Or they don't remember how to get home. You know, I think I know here in North Carolina, there was an Amber Alert not long ago where someone's grandfather left the house and he got lost, right? He was just going out to the store, but on his way, he forgot how to get home. You know, but they didn't realize, you know, that he had that cognitive impairment, that he was had the early onset dementia taking place.
Wow.
So, you know, that's a drastic, you know, that's a
Yeah.
you know, it's not uncommon, but that's something a little bit more drastic. But long story short is when you see that things that are taking place are directly impacting the activities of daily living.
Okay, I love that, and so many things I don't think about. Like you said, the physical. We always thought about. We always in, I guess, in the media and stuff. We always talking about gaining weight, but we don't think about when somebody lose weight rapidly, and you know, are they eating properly? Because then again, they might not be eating right. Then, like you said, with the you know, going somewhere and they totally forget, and they not aware of how to return home and stuff like that. It's just the little things. I guess, like the word you used earlier was monitoring. So you got to be able to monitor the situation and determine this is not the norm. So what made this one different? And I guess it's things that are patterns. It might not be the same situation, but it will show a same pattern, right? So
Yes.
so it shows that pattern that when you say, you know, the radar should go off, say, you know what, this something ain't right here. Let me pay attention a little bit more. And with that being said, so the emotional impact. What is the emotional impact? Because you know, when they come to you and they say, hey, they want your service, man. How do you deal with the emotional impact that comes from the adult children and then also with their parents?
Yeah, absolutely. It's very tough. You know, many of us don't like to always think of our parents as aging, right? We like to remember our parents as, you know, my strong father, my loving mother, things of that nature. But God willing, we're all aging. And with aging comes decline, you know. And depending on that aging adult, depends on how gracefully they will age, right? And so it's very difficult, especially with my long distance family caregivers, right?
Okay.
When you're someone who lives in Ohio, but you're originally from North Carolina, right? But your life is in Ohio, you know, your family, your job, that's where you now live, even though your mother still lives here in North Carolina. And then that's when you fly home and you see mom and dad aren't in the best of health and shape, but you're not here to physically help them. You know, your life is in Ohio. And so my long distance family caregivers struggle because there's a lot of unknowns sometimes with being a long distance family caregiver. Whether not knowing, you know, who your mom and dad's friends are, you know, the church they go to, not knowing a lot of what they have going on. So coming in and trying to get a grasp of that to be able to provide caregiver resources and services to them is sometimes a bit overwhelming compared to my local caregivers who are taking care of their loved ones. So there's a lot of different dynamics depending on which family caregiver I'm hearing from, whether they're local or long distance. But through it all, It's just a difficult time trying to navigate that new relationship now, right? Because depending on
Mm.
what their aging parent is going through, if they're going through dementia, then that relationship, that dynamic that they shared is changing. And so learning how to change that relationship um, in a respectful way can sometimes be difficult for individuals.
Hey everyone, this is a quick interlude right here. Hey, I got a sponsor, got a message for you, so check it out.
Speakers, entrepreneurs, professionals, doctors, and lawyers. We are excited to invite you to join Dr. Anthony D. Shannon, that's me, to what? Leaders Live Generously Summit. It's a premier virtual event taking place on February the 17th, 18th, and 19th, 2025. This 3-day summit is crafted to inspire, equip, and empower visionary leaders like you with the information, strategies, and inspiration to win in 2025. At Leaders Live Generously Summit, you'll have the opportunity to transform your leadership, gain insight and practical tools to break through limiting beliefs, soar in your industry, receive cutting-edge strategies that will set you up for success in 2025. We want you to thrive in 2025. Connect with community of like-minded leaders who are committed to living and leading generously. This summit is your chance to come alive and step into your next level of influence, next level of impact. Don't miss out on this transformative experience. Join us and thrive in 2025. To register, go to leaderslivegenerouslysummit.com. We look forward to seeing you soar in your leadership in 2025.
All right, fam, you do not want to miss this experience, so definitely register today. Go to the website and go ahead and follow, join, whatever you need to do, because this opportunity will change your life. So we are thankful for Dr. Anthony D. Shannon for providing this information for us. So, of course, you know what he's doing. He's dropping 24 karat gold bars indeed. So, family, that's the end of this interlude. So we're going back to the show. Yeah, I see. And right, it can be very difficult. And us having unique personalities, and like I said, it can have a conflict. And so as a caregiver, you need to have patience. I always say, and I have said this so many times on this podcast, communication is the tool of life. So you will have to learn how to communicate. And sometimes your communication style had to change
Absolutely.
based off the situation. And some, and sometimes you had to step forward in your communication and let it know, hey, this can be the best interest for us. Is always include I like use to, for us standpoint, that not putting the whole blame on the parent or the whole blame on myself. It's like, hey, we are working together. This for me, and then it works for me. We working together to get a common goal. And if you're willing to work with me, I'll work with you. And and yes, and sometimes you get agreements, and sometimes you don't get agreements. But the thing is, you got to keep your emotion in check as much as possible. And Coach, I know we're going to talk about soon about how we can, us caregivers, can take care of ourselves, and make sure we in the right emotional state to be able to handle certain situations, especially when we come from our parents. That they're gonna determine they're gonna be your parents. My mother always said, "I don't care. You're 100 years old. You're still my baby." So what I'm saying, and I'm 52 years young, and I still, they still want to exhort they are a parent, not in a mean way, but just the standpoint of just how they, how parents can be. So with that being said, all right, I want this right here. I know people are looking for. So I'm gonna ask this question because I know you have the solution for this one. What best way to approach these sensitive conversations with our parents that may be resistant for accepting help?
Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. This is always a tough one. All right.
Indeed.
Because, like I mentioned earlier, no one wants to age People think, I don't want to get old. They think old is old, and you lose your independence and all that stuff, right? And so when our aging parents are at that point where assistance may be needed, again, trying to find that balance. And so one of the things that you and I just discussed a minute ago is understanding what your aging parent can still do, right? Maybe sometimes they're resistant to the assistance because they feel it's still something that they can do, right? And as a concerned child, it's difficult for us to also allow them that opportunity to have that independence, right? Because when we see that they're not where they need to be, we're automatically like, no, we need to jump in, help out, get it done. Whereas, like you said a second ago, having that patience, right? Having that patience to listen. You talked about that earlier too. To listen to that parent, to see whether they truly need that help, right? And then, again, going back to monitoring, okay? And there's a lot of different ways that these things can take place, whether it's done with security cameras in the home. There's a lot of different things that can be done that I'll talk about shortly, that can be done as a child, with an aging parent, things that we can do to start to provide that preparation. You understand? Because that's a lot of what I hear is many people aren't prepared. They're not prepared for aging. And again, because of the profession I'm in, it has allowed me to understand, just how we prepare for birthdays and parties and everything else. We also want to prepare for our future, not just retirement, but beyond retirement. What does our healthcare look like for us? What do we want our final arrangements to look like? It's just that death and dying is not a topic that is often discussed in any culture. People just don't want to really have that conversation. But I tell people it's not always preparing to die, but it's truly preparing to allow your legacy to live, right?
Ooh, you gotta say that one more time, brother.
Yeah, it's not about preparing to die, but it's to preparing to allow your legacy to live, right? Because after you're gone, your physical vessel is gone. But what's left is everything that has been left behind, right? Are you leaving your family debt? Are you leaving them, all types of things? Are you leaving them without information, without resources that you had for them, right? So preparing ahead of time, to have those preparatory conversations can be very helpful.
And go ahead, brother.
It's not always the easiest conversation to have, but like you mentioned, communication is so powerful and important, right? And sometimes it's important and necessary for us to have those tough conversations, or address some of those tough topics for the betterment of everyone involved.
Come on now. 24 karat gold bars dropped indeed. I mean, mini gold bars. Come on now. you know what I'm saying, live and have a legacy. And you said so many important things there. As we get older, and that's for our older aging parents as well as ourselves, you know, we should be talking about legacy. What are you leaving? Do you have homes? Do you have physical properties and stuff? Do you have a will? Do you have trust? Do you have beneficiary for your accounts and stuff like that? It's so many. And now there was a meeting that we had with our local man group over a month ago, and just in general, we were talking about the we call it estate planning and stuff like that, and we learned so much, realizing, oh wow, it's not just writing a will. You got to understand what goes in there, what should not go in there. You need to understand in what should go in the trust, what type of trust. You should understand your investments accounts and how they work, and all the things like that. And how do you want somebody to manage it? Who's over your estate? Are they in the loop or what's going on and stuff like that? You know, all them discussions. You know, we don't think about that after. And then, like I said, when situation happen, the person transition, you bring so much stress because you're so busy. Like for example, you say caregiving, but you didn't take care of the legacy part. Then even the person transition, you still dealing with the stress of the life of that person because
Yeah.
you didn't sit down, you did not communicate, you didn't plan properly, and therefore, even though the person transitioned, you still carry the weight of what that person had in the past.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
man. So we're going to transition to another part I think is very important, and that is finding balance. That's the one of the things I think, and you are a specialist in this. You're a specialist there, and you're a specialist in this too. So, with that being said, I'm going to ask this one: as you've been a holistic life coach, because y'all about eating right, living right, and by how do you living things to make our life better. What are the biggest mistakes you see caregivers make when it comes to our own well-being?
hmm The number one thing I see caregivers do is allowing the caregiving to take over their lives.
Ooh,
Okay, that's the number one thing they do is they jump into action, which is 100% understood because everybody that's what we believe in doing, right? You love someone, you take care of them, right? So that's 100% the right thing to do. Okay. But the wrong thing to do is to take care of them at the detriment of our own health and wellness, right? Because, like you said earlier, if we can't be at our best, fully um, hydrated, eating well, exercising, socially well, engaging, right? When we are whole and filled, then we can be our best selves to take care of our loved ones. But when we neglect our own health, right, by not making those doctor's appointments or not eating well, not sleeping well, right? And there are some things that aren't avoidable as caregivers, right? If you're caring for a loved one with dementia who has trouble sleeping, yes, your sleep's going to be impacted. All right. But again, it's up to you to find ways to get your rest, to find ways to take care of you because you are in control of you 100%. And
come on
so
now.
the biggest thing I see is caregivers just allow the caregiving to take over their lives, just overwhelm them, and everything becomes about the person that they're taking care of, and they are put to the side. So that's the biggest thing I see.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I am guilty of that because when I went through, and those who know me and had read the book, entire Where right here, this book right here, where, and you see right there it says, it said to what place or position, and I position myself, my health. Yes, you one of my health coaches have helped guided me, and I have done so many amazing things. So my health was on par. But last year, when mom actually went through the part when she got ill and stuff, I let go a lot of things that I was doing just to make sure she's covered at the beginning. And then I saw myself getting out of whack. I wasn't sleeping the way I should. I wasn't eating the way I was eating. And things like that, because I'm more concerned about, okay, she's good, she's straight, stuff like that. And I added all this extra stress upon my life, which in turn kind of impacted my health. So once I got, once I recognized it, then I said, oh, you know what? Okay, I need to take care of that. That means I had to apply them teachings that you gave, because good. You can a person like you can coach and teach all day. It's up to the individual to apply what they learn. So I had to go back to the teachings and stuff that you apply, and then I realized, okay, I need to change this and this. Okay, this good. Then you had to adapt. Sometimes you just can't do it 5 a.m. Sometimes you had to do it at 6:30 in the morning. Or sometimes you had to do it at, maybe you want to do it at 7, maybe you had to do it at 9. Whatever it is, you have to find that median that will allow you to have what we call balance for yourself. And me, who is a caregiver, had to realize that for myself, and I had to apply things to my life to make it better. And if you have concerns, be able to reach out to a coach, Mike. Reach out to the other coaches that I also know as well, and say, hey, this is my life, this is my situation, stuff, and be willing to, again, invest in yourself, invest in your wellness as far as food, literature and stuff. Meet people, have a community, and we'll talk about that a little bit later too, and be able to help you through this process.
Absolutely.
Indeed. And then so I'm going to your specialist right here. No, you're a specialist. Can you share, because I mentioned I had to do some techniques. So with that being said, can you share some practical meditation, or some Tai Chi techniques that caregivers can use during stressful moments? I know some, but the audience out there listening might want to know some.
Okay. My favorite self-care tool is breathing. It's something that we do in Tai Chi. It's something we do in meditation. There's a number of different breathing techniques that individuals like to practice. But the breathing technique that we traditionally use, that we help to reduce cortisol levels, to help with our heart rate and breathing, our blood pressure, is where we breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. Okay. This allows us to get a nice full breath as we breathing in through the nose, allowing the belly to get nice and full, and then breathing out through pursed lips, right? Getting all that air completely out. Okay. And traditionally, we like to also call it smelling the flowers and blowing out the candles. Okay. And so that's an easy breathing technique that I teach individuals all the time, because you could do it anywhere. You don't have to have any workout clothes on. You don't have to go to the gym, right? Just a nice 4-second inhale in through the nose, followed by a nice 6-second out or breathe out exhale through pursed lips. So that's an easy, nice self-care tool to help with breathing that is beneficial for Tai Chi, for meditation, and just in life in general.
24 karat gold ball drop indeed. And yes, I do the breathing technique. I have to do the breathing technique because it's like I said, the stress level get there. Once I operate and work on managing my breathing, things tend to chill on out. Your levels tend to able to think and able to deal with the moment much better. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, you don't have to be still screaming. No. Take your time. You breathe in 6 seconds. Like smelling the flower, like you just said. Like how you taught me then, like breathing out like you're blowing out a counter. And like, ooh, no, you broke. It's gentle. It's very gentle. And what happens is your body comes to a state, I call it state of peace. And that one of the best things you ever can do is to breathe. I already knew that because you're my coach and you taught me that. But just in case you didn't know, now you know. All right, now we're gonna go. I got two more questions for my coach, and then this right here, I'll allude to it earlier. Well, I'll talk about support. So, how can caregivers build liable support networks without feeling they are burdening others?
Excellent. Okay. And so as a caregiver, there's a number of different things you can do as far as what's necessary to be, I don't want to call it successful caregivers, but in order to have support, caregiver support, right? One of the best tools is local resources. And so always recommend every caregiver connecting with their local area agency on aging. There's one in every state. There's an agency that covers every county. So every area has an area agency on aging. And so that would be my first tool for those individuals. Through that opportunity, they can learn about local support groups, right? Other family caregivers who are going through the same caregiving challenges that you are, right? It's nothing like having a group of individuals, friends and like-minded individuals who are going through the same thing, coming together just for the camaraderie and for the opportunity to just know that they're not alone in their caregiver journey. So local support groups are great. Due to the pandemic in 2020, a lot of virtual support groups are now available as well. So even virtually, there's opportunities. And recently, here in North Carolina, I work with the state of North Carolina, and we introduced some anonymous support groups because sometimes individuals didn't feel comfortable joining the support group, So we made this one an anonymous one where individuals came on anonymously, just to kind of take part in that opportunity to get the support and resources that were being shared. Okay. And then that leads to my other point is local resources, right? Here in the state of North Carolina, we have several different stately funded programs that support caregivers to get assistance in the home, right? Or get maybe home modifications, maybe a ramp, maybe rails put in the house, right? And so, again, traditionally, your local area agency on aging would have a lot of those local resources, but being aware of your local resources is a tremendous help beyond asking your cousin or your brother to do A, B, and C. If that relationship, is fractured or maybe it's not the best relationship or whatever the case may be, I always lean towards finding local resources because not only will they be able to provide the resources, but they can also provide the educational support, which is well, because there's additional things that go into caregiving beyond just providing care to the individual, which goes back to the things that we talked about earlier, the will, the trust, those different things. And we'll talk about that through the next question.
All right. Well, the next question is a familiar question, but since you talk about that, I want to add a little twist to this where you talk about what are some of the financial and legal considerations we need to dealing with caregiving? And because there is I want to use the word like I'm trying to figure out how to use the word. It's a burden that could be given to a caregiver when they start dealing with financial situation, dealing with their Asian parents, and also legal consideration. The reason why I say that is because I had a friend of mine, and his happened when his mother transitioned, and he didn't have the paperwork, or he wasn't the executive over the state and stuff, so he had to go through a whole lot of strings and stuff like that. But before that even happened, what are some financial and legal concerns that we need to be paying attention to as we are going through this with our Asian parents?
Absolutely. And it goes back to what we was discussing earlier in the conversation, was about being prepared, right? Having that conversation ahead of time. Okay. You know, through those conversations, when I had ahead of time, those preparatory conversations, some of these things can be avoided, right? And so we're talking about this preparatory conversation. So I'm gonna give you a couple things to consider, right? As a caregiver of an aging parent, I mentioned number one earlier was don't allow caregiving to take over your life. You're going to be the best caregiver that you possibly can. You love the person that you're taking care of, and you're going to provide them with the best care you possibly can. But it is imperative and vital that you take care of yourself so that you can be at your best to take care of your loved one. So number one, don't let caregiving take over your life. When you're starting to talk about that preparatory conversation with your aging parents, you start talking about things like living arrangements, right? Where does mom and dad live? You know, are they out of state? Are they in state? You know, are we going to try to keep them in their home? Is their home safe? Do we need to make any home modifications, right? Because most older adults, they want to stay in their home as long as they possibly can. And of course, we want them to do that because that's where they're comfortable. So if that's the case, making sure that the home is safe, does it have modifications, you know, cameras, alarms, things of that nature. Thinking of those things, right? If mom does have a cognitive impairment, but you don't live there with mom, it's probably a good idea to have some type of security camera just to make sure that you can check in if necessary, right? Number two or number three is the finances, like you mentioned, being aware of finances, right? Does mom have insurance, Medicare, Medicaid? Does she have a pension, retirement, right? You know, knowing about your parents' debt and things of that nature is good to know, but sometimes it's difficult to find out as well. But at least knowing those financials, right? Also knowing what bank they bank with, right? Am I on the account to make changes if necessary? Things of that nature. Also health records, right? Are you the power of attorney if something was to happen, right? What type of healthcare needs or wants do they have, right? You know, there's forms that need to be completed if you are a do not resuscitate, a DNR, right? So there's a lot of different things that those conversations need to be had. Legally, we talked about it, you know, being aware of wills, trusts, citizenship papers, birth certificates, all that type of stuff, right? And sometimes it's a lot of stuff to think about, right? And so I'm giving you kind of a few things, but a good thing to do sometimes is talking to a geriatric manager, or a family caregiver specialist like myself, who work with individuals on planning ahead. Okay. Mom's turning 65. Okay. She's getting ready to retire, or she wants to retire. Let's look at what that looks like. What would retirement look like for her? What would, no longer working look like for her, right? Or mom is aging. I just came home. Mom's 80 now. I'm realizing, man, she's retired. She's really aging. I need to look and see what's going on, right? So finding out what type of insurances that they have, what type of pension plans and things of that nature. So you know what type of services you may be eligible for through your insurances, what coverages they may cover. Will they cover a 30-day stay in a senior living facility? Do they allow for in-home aids or respite opportunities? So it's a lot of different things that you can find out through those two avenues right there, right? But some of the things to think about, like I mentioned, living arrangements, the finances, legal, and also knowing what your parents want, right? Knowing what their last wishes are, what they want their care to look like. Do they want to be cremated? Do they want to be buried? Right? Those type of conversations. And there's documents out there. My 5 Wishes is a document that you can find online or on Google. A few online resources that are really great. AARP is a great website that has tremendous resources for caregivers, for older adults. As caregivers, you have the Family Caregiver Connection, which is a great resource as well. There's apps that are available nowadays. The Caring Village is an app on Apple and on Android. So again, having those resources and knowing that are very helpful, whether you are just getting into becoming a caregiver, or if you currently are a family caregiver.
Ooh, 24 karat gold bars drop indeed. And y'all guys should have your notebooks, iPad, tablets, and everything, even your cell phone full for all that great information, brother. Come on now. That I'm talking about right there. Ain't no excuse now. You should have the tools that you need to be able to manage yourself as you go through these situations. All right, bro. I ain't gonna hold you. You got one more question.
But I will say
okay. All right. Well, go ahead and say.
I will say one thing, because I said a whole lot right there, right? And caregiving is not a job for the faint of heart. Okay, caregiving can be tough. It can be emotional. It can be mentally and physically draining, but it can also be very, very rewarding. It could be some of the best time of your life. It could be opportunity to really forge stronger relationships. So there's definitely two sides to caregiving. But one of the main things is understanding that there's individuals like myself and the websites I mentioned and different things, but there is no true handbook to caregiving, right? Every person and every journey is going to be a little bit different. There may be some similarities that take place, but everyone is different. And so there's going to be trial and error, giving yourself patience and grace is going to be important. And just understanding that, you have to take it one day at a time, and keep a positive outlook, an optimistic outlook, regardless of the end game or what may be taking place, right? Because sometimes it's difficult taking care, or not sometimes, it's always difficult taking care of anyone who is declining. And we know that the end of that decline will be them no longer being here with us. So it's very tough, but learning how to manage those emotions and being optimistic in those moments can be tremendous. And so finding the resources are going to be number one. My website, makinglifegood.org, provides resources. I personally teach caregiver courses in person and virtually. So always looking for ways to support our caregivers here locally and nationwide. And so again, I just thank you, Brother Wise, for having me on for this. I could talk for hours about caregiving. And again, there's so much that kind of goes into it. It can be overwhelming, but I am truly blessed to be a blessing to others and help them, guide them through that journey and that process. So again, thank you for having me on. I hope I was able to be helpful and be a blessing to someone who's listening to this. And I appreciate it.
Yes, you definitely was, man. You dropped 24 karat gold bars, enough that you can build a whole city out of it now. You can build a whole city out of it, how to be a great caregiver, and you know what, and live the legacy that your parents intended for us to have. And I still have one more question. Because it won't be the wise hour. Let's ask the question. Define
Absolutely.
the word life, and what do life means to you?
Oof. I've been on this show several times.
Yes.
And each time you ask me this, I always say, woof. I always gotta think about it. Right?
Yes, it's dynamic.
Yeah, and we've had opportunities to talk about many of the different disciplines that I practice. And with this discipline here as a family caregiver specialist, when you ask me that question of what is life, and what was the second part of it?
And what do life means to you?
And what does it mean to me? When I think of this in the lens of a family caregiver specialist, I think life is precious. Life is precious. Life is a gift. Life should not be taken for granted, right? So many times we allow individuals to steal time and joy from us, right? Allow people with things to happen to kind of get on our nerves, and then we have a bad day or a bad week, right? But life is not just given, right? It is truly a gift. And so I definitely see life as precious. And then when I think what it means in that respect is to appreciate life, to be grateful for it. One of my personal practices is every morning that I wake up in the bed, I thank God for having life in my body and breath in my lungs. And then throughout the day, I just continue to be grateful. And how can you have a bad day when you got the ultimate gift of life? Right?
There you go. There you go.
Everybody had that opportunity. Not everybody woke up that day. And the
There you
fact
go.
that you did, and you get to have this opportunity to enjoy this day is truly a blessing. And so when I think of life, it's precious. And what it means to me is to be completely grateful and full of gratitude throughout the journey.
That I want to talk about right now. Not only that, 24 carry go bar drop ND. Coach Mike, you already mentioned before, but tell the audience again how can they get in contact with you.
Yes, they could get in contact with me on Instagram at Life Coach Mike P. On Instagram, they can also find me on Facebook under my name, Michael Patterson. They can also visit our website, www.makinglifegood, all one word, .org. www.makinglifegood.org. Visit the website. You'll see all types of resources and opportunities to visit our YouTube page where I practice Tai Chi, where I conduct my dementia workshops and self-care workshops. So just always adding videos onto our YouTube page, always adding resources and class opportunities, course opportunities on the website. So again, it's a blessing to be a blessing to my community. So I thank you, and I thank everyone who's watching, who has supported me or will support me. And I look forward to providing some positive energy and shining bright wherever I go.
Awesome. Thank you. And definitely, family, check out the website. I'm so thankful. And every time we have questions and things like this, dealing with life and dealing with aging parents, you are the expert. And also just taking care of your life and your health in general. You my coach. And hey, I had to claim what it is. And every time we have a situation like this, we definitely will bring you back onto the WISE Hour to be able to drop more 24 karat gold bars indeed. So we thank you for your time.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
Family, was that 24 karat gold bars dropped indeed? That was a lot of information that we can use in our lives. And those who are caregivers, we got to realize how to take care of ourselves. We got to realize how to manage the affairs of our aging parents. And we got, in general, we had to learn how to communicate and work together. We have to learn how to work together in this process. So take the information, apply it, and don't wait too late. It's you know what? The information applies now. Even if your parents are not going through the situation, you want to be aware of and have a plan and action for that. So family, thank you for coming into the podcast and being a supporter of the WISE Hour. Family, also, I have a book. It's the entire Where. See the shirt right here. The entire Where. It's a book. It's a memoir about my life, but it's more than that. It allows you to reflect on challenges you're dealing with, anxiety, depression, and ever life situations of being a youth, young adult, and even adult. I guarantee you, when you read it, it will give you insights that actually will help you realize how you can win in life. So you definitely want to pick up your digital copy. So go to this link and purchase your digital copy today. Also, family, I'm wearing my merch today. I used to be up in the blue, but today I'm wearing the merch line right now. I'm wearing the Wear shirt. So you can go to this website, and you can purchase your Wear t-shirt, understand where you are, even the 24 karat gold bars in these shirts for men and women. And so if you want to support this channel, this is the best way to support. All right, family. Want to say this. Love is an action word. While you're taking the time to love yourself, make sure you show love to someone else. And we'll see you on the next The WISE Hour. Everybody have a wonderful weekend. And peace.
Where do we go when the world feels so cold? Where do we find the warmth from stories told? A place to be that's not so far A touch so gentle, a smile that heals. Come together